U.S. Air Force just dropped a bombshell. A UFO aircraft built to end the cartel war in 90 days. This stealth fighter carries more firepower than an F-22 Raptor. It vanishes from radar like it was never there. In 1 year, Mexican cartels caused 70,000 American deaths with fentanyl. Command now has a solution: a war machine that can crush cartel networks from the sky. Can this invisible system neutralize the largest criminal empire ever built? And what follows when America engages with unrestricted force? Join us as we find out what the UFO aircraft carrier can do in the fight against Mexican cartels. 70,000 Americans died from fentanyl poisoning last year. That number equals the entire population of a small city wiped out by Mexican cartels. The drug crisis has become a national security threat that regular law enforcement cannot handle. Mexican cartels now operate like military forces. They use encrypted satellite communications that rival Pentagon systems. Cartel scouts deploy commercial drones with night vision cameras along the border. Their convoy vehicles carry armor plating thick enough to stop rifle bullets. Some cartel fighters even wear military-grade body armor and carry automatic weapons. The Sinaloa cartel controls smuggling routes worth over $50 billion every year. These smuggling routes stretch across the United States-Mexico border and reach into more than 50 countries worldwide. The cartels dig tunnels under the border with lights, rail tracks, and air systems. Some stretch more than half a mile. Cartel submarines, both semi-submersible and fully submersible, move tons of cocaine along the Pacific coast while slipping past Navy patrols. In the air, they fly ultralight planes, small prop planes, and cargo jets changed to carry multi-ton loads. They use hidden airstrips in Mexico, Central America, and even remote areas inside the United States. This setup gives them worldwide reach, large-scale transport, and strength close to a combat force. Border Patrol agents often face cartel groups that outgun them. Smugglers shine laser pointers to blind helicopter pilots during night missions. Cartels have shot down multiple law enforcement aircraft over Mexican territory. The violence now spills into American cities. Intelligence reports showed cartel plans for attacks on United States border sites. The fictional September strike on the Eagle Pass border station changed everything. Cartel fighters fired rocket-propelled grenades at Border Patrol vehicles. 3 agents were killed in a battle that lasted 4 hours. Congress reacted within days. The authorization for use of military force passed with bipartisan support. Lawmakers marked major cartels as foreign terrorist groups under United States law. The Pentagon was ordered to prepare military solutions for the cartel threat. Traditional ground raids had failed for decades. DEA operations made only small dents in cartel power. The Mexican government has been limited by corruption and fear. Each success by law enforcement only pushed cartels to new locations. Military planners began studying the cartel structure like enemy armies. They mapped smuggling routes using satellites. Defense experts found that cartels held land larger than many European nations. Their empire stretched from Colombia to Canada. Air power was the only tool for such a vast area. Cartels operated hidden runways across the Sonoran Desert. Their boats used the Gulf of Mexico like their own highway. Fighters based in Texas and California could not reach all these targets. The Pentagon needed aircraft with a long range over international waters. These jets needed to carry enough weapons to destroy several sites in one mission. Stealth would keep them from being spotted before striking. Most of all, they needed mobile bases. When law enforcement could not stop them, military planners turned to the skies. The Pentagon already had a weapon in secret development. Of what use is it? The X-44 Manta came from Lockheed Martin's most secret projects. This stealth fighter broke every design rule. The Manta had no tail at all. Its delta wing design looked like something from a science fiction film. Engineers built it with thrust vectoring technology that lets the jet change pitch and roll by moving engine exhaust. This removed the need for tail parts that usually made radar detect planes. The result was a fighter more invisible than any aircraft built before. The F-22 Raptor was already the stealthiest jet, with a radar return the size of a marble. The Manta cut this signature by another 75%. Enemy radar could only see it up to 10 miles away. Stealth changed air combat completely. Normal fighters appear on radar more than 100 miles away, giving enemies time to fire missiles or launch interceptors. The Manta reached its target before being seen. Its tailless design also left a large space for fuel and weapons. The F-22 carries 6 missiles, the F-35 carries 4. The X-44 could hold 12 missiles plus 4 guided bombs. This extra load mattered against cartel operations spread over huge areas. Traditional fighters had to rearm after hitting just a few sites. The Manta finished whole missions without refueling. Its Pratt & Whitney engines burned fuel 20% better than the F-22's. The jet could fly more than 2,000 miles without tanker support. This covered the Gulf of Mexico and deep into Mexican territory. Thrust vectoring gave the Manta extreme agility. It could climb straight up at 90 degrees. It made turns so sharp that pilots hit G-force limits. Missiles could not keep up. The jet could fly higher than 60,000 feet. Commercial jets cruised between 25 and 40,000. This height kept the Manta safe from most missiles. From 11 miles high, its sensors gave clear images of ground targets. It carried electronic systems to block cartel radios and signals. It also carried cyber tools to crash cartel computers. These weapons blinded cartels before attacks began. The Manta was the result of 25 years of stealth fighter development. It used lessons from the F-117, F-22, and F-35. Every system aimed at one goal: total control of the skies. But the jet needed mobile launch platforms to strike anywhere cartels operated. Aircraft carriers became the answer. Carriers serve as floating air bases that extend the United States' power worldwide. Each supercarrier weighs over 100,000 tons and carries a full air wing. The Navy runs 11 of them. Carriers solve the problems that land bases cannot. Air bases in Texas and Arizona are too far from southern Mexico. Long flight times cut fuel and weapons load. Carriers sail close to coast and strike from there. In the Gulf of Mexico, carriers turn the sea into America's lake. A single carrier 50 miles offshore could hit targets 800 miles inland, covering every cartel hub from Tijuana to the Yucatan. Naval aviators train for long overwater missions. They use satellites for navigation when no landmarks exist. They practice landing on moving decks even in storms. These skills are key to missions against coastal smugglers. Supercarriers hold over 3 million gallons of fuel below the waterline. This supply keeps combat flights going for weeks without tankers. The air wing includes more than fighters. E-2 Hawkeye planes give early warning across areas larger than states. Electronic attack planes jam radios and radar. Aerial refueling tankers extend range for long missions. Carriers carry guided bombs, missiles, and electronic pods in their armories. Machine shops fix damage without leaving port. Escort ships protect carriers with hundreds of surface-to-air missiles. Their radar tracks threats more than 200 miles away. Nuclear power plants give carriers an unlimited range. Reactors run for 25 years without new fuel. They keep top speed for months without stopping. Carriers link directly to the Pentagon with satellites. Recon satellites send target data straight to fighter cockpits in minutes. The flight deck becomes a non-stop launch site. Steam catapults throw fighters into the air in seconds. Cables stop jets from landing at 150 miles per hour. Operations keep going in bad weather as carriers turn to create proper wind. This mobility keeps pressure on cartels at all times. These sea-based air bases launch the most advanced fighters for precision strikes. The daily missions begin before dawn. Mantas climb to 60,000 feet and scan wide areas. Cameras show clear images, while radar looks through clouds and at night to find hidden airstrips and bunkers. Within hours, intelligence teams select targets. Strikes hit remote runways, drug labs, and safe houses. Mantas attack unseen and destroy sites with pinpoint accuracy. Labs are hit with bombs that break reinforced walls before exploding inside. Mantas also patrol the skies to stop cartel aircraft, fire missiles at boats, and jam communications. At night, sensors track fighters moving through deserts and jungles. Target data flows to ground forces for raids. Deep missions strike mountain compounds where leaders hide. Tankers refuel the Mantas over the Pacific before they enter Mexico. Stealth lets them slip past defenses. Around the clock, combat patrols keep pressure on cartel routes. Special forces on the ground guide bombs with lasers and call in urgent strikes. Together, air and ground forces form one mission. These precision attacks would deal heavy blows to cartel power. But can air power alone secure total victory? Air superiority transforms asymmetric warfare against criminal organizations completely. Cartels excel at ground-based insurgency tactics developed over decades of fighting Mexican military forces. They cannot adapt quickly to sustained air attacks from invisible fighters operating beyond their defensive capabilities. Traditional law enforcement raids provide a warning to cartel networks. Criminal organizations use spotters positioned miles from target locations. Radio communications alert leadership to approaching ground forces. Cartel fighters evacuate facilities hours before authorities arrive. Airstrikes eliminate this early warning advantage. X-44 Manta fighters approach targets undetected by any available radar systems. Weapons release occurs without warning to personnel inside target facilities. The time between detection and destruction measures is in seconds rather than hours. Economic warfare through precision strikes hits cartel financial operations hard. Every drug lab destroyed means millions of dollars lost. Strikes on airstrips stop planes worth tens of millions from reaching drug markets. These financial hits spread fast through the whole criminal network. Cartel efforts to adjust do not succeed against advanced air power. Underground sites give little safety from weapons designed to smash bunkers. Spreading operations increase costs and weaken production. Moving drug labs is not possible under non-stop aerial surveillance. International concerns create difficulties for how much the United States military can do. Mexican sovereignty concerns complicate cross-border strikes on cartel targets. Congress provides the legal basis for action against listed terrorist groups. Working with Latin American partners gives legitimacy to longer air campaigns. Air power proves cheaper than traditional law enforcement methods. A single X-44 Manta costs about $300 million with development included. That investment destroys drug networks worth billions each year. The payoff becomes clear within the first year of operations. Intelligence sharing makes limited air assets more effective. Satellites spot hundreds of possible targets across Mexico. Target lists are ranked by importance and value to operations. By doing so, the process ends up with every single strike bringing the best results. The mental effect also goes beyond the damage caused on the ground. Cartels depend on fear as a tactic to dominate, and they actually believe that they cannot be defeated. Their failure to block air attacks weakens control over local people. Fear of sudden strikes from hidden aircraft forces cartels to change how they act. Regional stability improves as cartels lose power. Reducing drug trafficking reduces violence in border areas on both sides. Mexican forces regain control of territories once held by criminals. Local economies grow in places freed from cartel control. Long-term effects reshape drug trafficking as a whole. Surviving cartels retreat to remote areas with little reach. New groups lack the money and resources to rebuild fast. Governments move into the gap and gain lasting control. Concerns remain about using advanced technology in combat. Rival intelligence agencies try to recover parts from downed aircraft. Protecting stealth technology requires strong security measures. Military planners calculated that sustained air operations could achieve what decades of ground fighting never accomplished. Operation Phantom Strike launched on October 1st with simultaneous attacks across 12 Mexican states. 48 X-44 Manta fighters struck 200 cartel targets within the first 72 hours. Every major drug processing facility from Sinaloa to Michoacan burned under precision-guided munitions. The Sinaloa cartel lost 95% of its aircraft fleet during the opening week. 23 trafficking planes exploded on remote airstrips before crews could evacuate valuable cargo. Air-to-air missiles destroyed another 15 aircraft attempting emergency flights to Guatemala and Honduras. Cartel communication networks broke down after days of electronic warfare. Cyber weapons shut down financial systems that controlled billions in drug money. Bank accounts were drained as funds were redirected to United States law enforcement. The financial base of the cartels collapsed in just a few days. Operations to remove cartel leaders hit key targets with exact accuracy. Small diameter bombs destroyed armored vehicles carrying commanders who tried to flee ruined compounds. Intelligence teams tracked new leaders before they could take control. The chain of command broke faster than the cartels could react. At sea, interdiction operations cleared the Gulf of Mexico of trafficking vessels. Coast Guard cutters intercepted 47 drug submarines heading for the United States shores. Navy patrol aircraft, guided by Manta fighters, found fast boats hidden in inlets. Ocean smuggling routes were shut down permanently. Border security improved quickly as cartel pressure dropped along the Rio Grande. Smuggling attempts fell by 80% in the first month. Border Patrol agents reported the quietest period in the agency's history. Illegal crossings dropped to levels last seen in the 1990s. Fentanyl seizures at ports of entry went down as supply networks collapsed. Drug availability in United States cities dropped within weeks of the campaign. Overdose deaths fell by 40% in border states in the first quarter. Emergency rooms reported sharp declines in drug-related cases. Mexican forces regained control of land held by cartels for more than a decade. Army units entered old no-go zones without facing resistance. Police went back to towns once controlled by cartel enforcers. Civilians celebrated freedom after living under criminal rule for years. Intelligence confirmed cartel operations were destroyed. The groups that survived had no resources to rebuild their lost facilities. New groups could not fill the gap left by fallen leaders. The drug trafficking threat dropped to levels not seen since before 2000. United States forces suffered no casualties during the 90-day campaign. No X-44 Manta fighters were damaged by cartel fire. Electronic warfare blocked all attempts at organized resistance. The technology advantage was too great for the cartels to overcome. Regional stability reached levels unseen in 2 decades. Foreign companies started investing in places that were once too dangerous. Tourists returned to coastal towns after cartels were removed. Local economies grew without the reach of criminal groups. The campaign showed that advanced military systems could solve problems outside traditional wars. Air power in 3 months achieved what decades of ground efforts could not. The invisible fighters brought down the strongest criminal empire of modern times. Thanks for watching. While you are still here, click on the link on your screen to check out another of our videos. See you there.